Ita. Epo.
In the classroom.
Where is it?
Hello. Hello.
നിന്റെ ഫോൺ ഇനി ഉണ്ടോ? ഞാൻ എടുത്ത്
Recording. Okay.
Abdul Azeez. കേൾക്കാറില്ല. അതുണ്ട്, അത് കേൾക്കാറ്. അബ്ദുൽ അസീസ്.
Okay. Abdul Azizന്റെ മൈക്ക് മ്യൂട്ട് ആണോ?
ലിബിന് കേക്കാവോ?
വിനോദിനെ കേൾക്കാം.
Okay.
1 second. Let me mute everyone. Mute all. Oneself. Mute. This is right. Just. Abdul Azeez, check your mic. We cannot hear. കേൾക്കാൻ പാടില്ലല്ലോ. തുടങ്ങി. എനിക്ക് താങ്കളെ കാണാം, പക്ഷെ ഓഡിയോ ഒന്നുമില്ല. അത് നിങ്ങളുടെ ഇതൊന്ന് ഓഡിയോ സെറ്റിംഗ്സ് ഒന്ന് നോക്കിയേ, കണക്ട് ചെയ്താണ്. അല്ല, ഓഡിയോ സെറ്റിംഗ്സിൽ ചിലപ്പം മെഷീന്റെ ഡിവൈസ് ആയിരിക്കും.
ഹലോ.
ഇപ്പൊ കേൾക്കാം അബ്ദുൽ അസീസ്.
പിന്നെ ഒരു ഇൻട്രൊഡക്ഷൻ കൊടുത്തോ.
ഓക്കെ.
എന്ത് ചെയ്തത്? അപ്പോ ഇത് പോയി കളിച്ചു. Hello, good evening, everybody. I hope everybody is muted. Only, my sound is.
Yeah, now okay. It's okay. So I'm just waiting. I think the people are just joining. So we'll wait for another few minutes. Just bear with us. Okay. I think someone just joined with the name iPhone. Even previously there is another iPhone. Just put your name. You can rename your
Libin, that is my wife.
Okay. You can rename. Actually, there are 2 iPhones, so I don't know. are there. See, this is basically just to avoid someone else to join our meeting. That's the reason we are saying the name. So, can you switch on your video, both the iPhones? സുനിലേട്ടാ,
Hi,
Parayyu,
Livin. Livin, can you mute all other audios, please?
yeah. Okay. Sunil Sridhar's wife. Okay, another iPhone is coming. Okay, those who are with the nickname, I can see that 2 iPhones are there. So one is Sunil Sridhar's wife, and there is another iPhone. So if you can rename your name, it would be good. You just click on your name and then just right click and rename it. Okay. So I think we are ready to go. So good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining. So today our mentor is Abdul Azeez, and he will be talking about the portrait photography. And I'm just waiting for KK also. And I didn't discuss with Vinod. Vinod, you will be co-host, and
Okay.
you take the notes. If someone wants to raise any questions or something, you can put it in the chat room. And I told KK to collect it, but I think KK is late. So Vinod will collect. Okay, and if it is required, we'll interrupt in between. Otherwise, we'll wait for the end to raise the questions.
So I have to check. I have to check the chat, right?
Yeah, chat and just coordinate all the questions. Okay, consolidate
fine.
and you can.
Okay, fine.
I already told KK, but so if KK is joining, you
No,
both can manage it. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So I think we are ready. Abdul Azeez,
Yeah.
over to you.
Good evening, everybody. I wish you a wonderful evening and hope everything is fine with you. You're all healthy, safe, and doing good. And today we will be discussing something about portrait photography. Portrait photography, there are a lot of great photographers are there in the house at the moment, but still I'm talking about it. It doesn't mean I'm an authority of all those things, but I just share whatever I know about photography and my viewpoints and other things. And you can join me for any kind of discussion, or you can call me for any kind of discussion anytime in between. So I request if the administrator muted all, maybe it is possible to unmute everybody and you can mute yourself. So whenever you want, you can just switch it on and you can talk. What happens in other ways, if some people they wanted to contribute in between, they will not be able to do so. And at the same time, if everybody is on, then you will have unnecessary disturbance from people, because I don't know what are the other extra sounds coming from me to you. I really don't know, but maybe you can experience it better than me. So that is the situation. Anyway, it is up to the administrators. However, I wanted to have a kind of interactive session. I want participation from everybody. End of the day, we are doing this not only for learning and also at the same time to be a part of kind of a social activity that we are all together to feel good and to feel excited and feel happy at the same time. So I wish I'm seeing some of the your well-known faces: Sunil, Mr. Vinod, Sunil Rao, Baiju, Shankarji. Hi to everybody, and I'm starting my PowerPoint presentation.
Okay. We have some guests from SPC, Salala Photography group. Welcome everyone.
So you can see my PowerPoint presentation, everyone.
Yeah, it's
Can
fine.
you just show your hand if you can see my screen?
All good.
Okay.
All good.
So today we are going to talk about portrait photography, and basically, what I'm trying to do is we are trying to talk about lens and aperture selection and how does it affect your portrait, photos, and posing, shutter speed, background selection and framing, focus and depth of field, and the light. This is what we are going to talk. At the same time, I also would like to remind you guys, we're not talking about the light, portrait photography with the lights. We're basically talking about ambient light or maybe outdoor, portraiture. So that's what we are going to do. The other subject is much, much bigger than the time what you have given. So anyway, that will make it for some other time. So let me start with, this is the subject, or this is the subject what we are going to talk today. And please show your hand anytime and come to the subject, and we can discuss. So now, when I ask you a question, which is the best portrait lens? There is nothing as such which is the best portrait lens, because, at times we have to use different types of, lenses. I used the 24 mm, 35 mm, 24-70, 50 mm, 85 mm, 100 mm, 135, which is one of my favorite lens. I even shoot outdoor portraits and even sports events using 135 mm, one of the sharpest lens I have ever tested in my life. And of course, 70-200, a very versatile lens. But some people they always carry a kind of thumb rule in their life, entire life, and they never wanted to change these rules. One of such rule is that some of my friends who are in FSO, they used to tell me that 85 mm, Kalas, there is no other lenses. There is no other lens for portraiture. Okay, and one of my friend, anybody's talking in between? Hello? And also one of my friend mentioned me one time, he is shooting at, 7.1 aperture. Aperture 7.1, the best portraiture. Other guy mentioned me that, his aperture is 5.6 because it is sweet, and he told me a lot about that. But I always recommend people to go to different things. 24 mm, can you shoot portraiture? Yes, of course. 35 mm, yes. 24-70, yes, a very versatile lens. 50 mm, yes, human perspective. 85 mm, one of the best portraiture focal length considered in the world. 100 mm, yes, of course, it is a macro lens. It gives you a very sharper image. 135 mm considered to be the best portraiture lens in the world, the focal length. Okay, and 70-200. So these are the lenses I'm just talking about. Now let's see, how does it affect your photography, your portrait photography. Now this is what happens if you use different types of lenses. You can see when I use a 24 mm, you see the face. Can you see kind of distorted face, a kind of inclusion, distortion it is? And then when you go to 135 mm, you see in a different perspective. This is basically, it's happening depends upon the distance between you and the subject, as well as the lens what you have. Okay, so now this is considered that the best portraiture lens, the focal distance is between above 70, and the best is 85 to 135, and the people even shoot with higher lenses like 200 mm, even 400 mm, they shoot portraiture. It's all fine. But if you go less than that, let's say 24 mm, you can see the difference on face. But at the same time, if you look at this slide, you will see different perspectives, different types of photography. So see the difference here. Here in 24 mm, if you shoot portraiture, you see the difference of, on a face of a human being. And 135, here it is a negative point. But in these photos, that negative aspect is used as a creative element to create much better looking photography. So you have to understand that these lenses are used according to the situation, or according to the need, or according to the purpose of that particular photographer. It is not said that you have to use always 85 mm or 50 mm. When you use 50 mm, there are problems. When you use 50 mm, there are advantages. At the same time, similarly, I also face a lot of problems when I use 85 mm. At the same time, I got a lot of advantages when I use 85 mm. Similarly, all these lenses are. So that's what I would like to make a point here, that when you look at this, you will find 24 mm, it gives you a kind of distorted face, but at the same time, people, they use it for much creative, portraitures. So I hope you understand something. Any questions from this, please? Anybody? Okay. Now let's look at this picture. You cannot shoot this picture from very near with 135 or 200 mm. So you have to go very far. When you go very far, what happens is, look at this picture. You will not have enough space, enough room to shoot. So you use a kind of wide angle lens, a 24 mm or 35 mm. At the same time, we are not much bothered about the perspective of the face, like this one. Here you see when you use 24 mm. But here, the same picture is shot with 24 mm. See the difference. Here we are not much worried about the facial expression. At the same time, we are looking to the overall expression of the photography. So, and the same thing similarly here. Now let us look at the lens in a different perspective. That is, this is a 24 mm lens, and the second, the one is the cropped from 24 mm, and the third one is shot with 200 mm. Okay, so the first photography is used for 24 mm. It's still a portraiture. It gives you a more versatile, picture about the background of the person and where she stands and etc. And the second picture, the same picture, but it is cropped, at 200 mm. And the third picture is shot by a 200 mm lens. And you can similarly see the difference. See the background of the 24 mm, the second frame and the third one. So here something is happening. That's why the background of 200 mm, picture is totally different, and 24 mm crop is totally different. You can see, the background is more evident in a 24 mm. At the same time, even though it is cropped from a 24 mm picture, the 200 mm, you will see the background is much blurred. Okay. So here something is happening. I just want to discuss it because this is an element which we basically use, in portraiture. Let's come to this, the next, the picture. Here you see these particular, port is shot with different types of lenses, like a 35 mm, a 50 mm, 85 mm, and 135 mm. Now, if you look at, I've made some arrow marks here. 35 mm, you see the background. So this background, this yellow mark, can you see that? Here, can you see that? So when the number is going higher, 50 mm, this background is getting bigger and more closer to the object. At the same time, if you look at all these objects, all of them are same size. But the background is getting distracted, or it is going away, or it is coming towards, and it is getting closer. Now, if you look at 85 mm, it is much bigger. And at 135 mm, it is much bigger. So this is what's happening here. We call it zoom compression. I've seen several photographers, they love to shoot with, 70-200. This is the biggest lens. Why? Because they showed it with in between 70-200, they showed it with between 180 to 200. Why is that? It's just because of this phenomenon, what I was trying to explain to you. When you shoot with 200 mm or 180 plus, you will find your background is coming too much closer to you. And it gives a kind of creamy kind of blur. But similarly, if you look at a 35 mm, you see, the object, the background object is much, away from you, and more evident. You can see it more clearly. But if you look at a 135 mm shot, with the same aperture, you will find that it's much bigger and much creamy, and it's a kind of beautiful background. Can you see that difference? Now here I want to make this. If you shoot the same thing with a 24 mm, 35 mm, 50 mm, 70 mm, see the difference, what's happening. On a 24 mm, you see your background object is far away from you. That means the difference between each thing, the relative difference, distance between one to another is, it's getting bigger, bigger, bigger and bigger. And the object is getting closer and closer when the number is going high. When the number is less and things are far away, at the same time, the distance is also, far. So when the number is getting bigger,
Hello.
Hello.
Abdul Azeez? Others, can you hear?
It's paused.
No, Libin, we can't hear him.
Okay.
Maybe net is gone.
Okay.
His net is gone. His video froze and we lost his audio.
Okay,
Yeah.
just hold on. I think he will connect
You will
back.
come back.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, Abdul Azeez.
yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, let's come to this picture. And here, I just want to make a statement that you see the difference. And here, this is explaining, better.
No,
That means,
Abdul Azeez, can you
yes.
share the screen again?
yeah, 1 second. I'm not able to access that, Libin.
Yeah, that button is not enabled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's okay?
Now it's okay. Coming.
Okay. Okay. Here, when you use a 35 mm lens, your nearest object is far away from you and it is smaller. When you use 180 mm or maybe 200 mm, or maybe better than, more than 150 mm, you find the object is getting bigger and is getting closer to your subject. Okay. This is what basically the zoom compression, which most of the portrait people, they use it. I'll come to that and we'll see how we can creatively use this aspect to a photography, and in a photography perspective. And similarly, people, they say 50 mm is one of the best lens they can use for portrait. 85 mm is one of the best, and the 200 mm or maybe. And if you look at the back side of these three lenses, if you look at 50 mm, if you look at 85 mm, if you look at 200 mm, you see the difference of their background. And mostly you will love to have a 200 mm background because it's kind of much a creamier kind of background what you can get out of this. This is my personal experience. I know that people will have different opinion for this, but when I use a 50 mm lens 1.4, I have one, and 85 mm I have a Sigma 1.4. When I use then I came back to 70-200 because of this main reason. Now let's talk about shutter speed. We are continuing that. Before that, we'll just finish all shutter speed, aperture, and then we'll come back to our subject once again. Also, we have different thumbnails. People say this is this is my shutter speed. Some people, they love to shoot. One day I have seen Mr. Hemant Murthy, one of my gurus here in this group. He was shooting, he was shooting a portraiture with 30 shutter speed, 30 shutter speed. Because that was the first time I'm seeing somebody shooting with 30 shutter speed. For me, it is something, it's a kind of, I never experienced such a kind. Then I talked to him and he gave me some ideas, and then I understood that it's not that you have a certain, shutter speed, kind of thumb rules. People, they stick to their thumb rules, and they never wanted to get out of that. That's an aspect. So they will not be able to create, something new. Now, if you look at these pictures, these are all creative type of things which you can also try. Now, basically, it is nothing. They are reducing the shutter speed and they're trying to create something new. It's also really, funny. You can try by using, but you need some kind of minimum shutter speed to get the motion arrested. So, according to us, a nice portraiture should not have any blur. That's a kind of concept. So people sometimes they say 125 is a nice, shutter speed. Some people say 200. This is all because of the available light and the shutter, the flash they are using, because the singing speed it is. And or maybe people are using 125 shutter speed because it is an inside shot. But for me, what I experienced is if you use the higher shutter speed, then your photo will be much crispier. Okay. But again, having said this, I just want to clear that, that if you use more than 3,000 shutter speed, I find, portraitures are coming, like a kind of, curved kind of, picture, which, the image stands out more than what we require, and we feel it's a kind of not really required. So I just don't want to use shutter speed more than 3,000. I try to keep less than that, but I always try to keep more than 1,000 shutter speed, because especially whenever I shoot out, outside or maybe outdoor portraitures, okay, it is enough. 200 is enough, or 300 is enough, but 500 is enough. But when you have a more, higher shutter speed, I always find your pictures are much clearer and much sharper than the normal pictures with a lesser, shutter speed. People, they have these rules, 125, 200. It's all because of they can sync it easier with their flashlight or, speed lights, etc. But whenever you have more shutter speeds, your pictures are much better than normal pictures. So these are some pictures I want to show with less than 30 shutter speed in a normal, without using light, and in a normal situation. And this is a very crispy picture, and this is more than 1,600 shutter speed it is, and you can even see, next to her a lot of dust particles, the color particles of holly. You can see it very clearly. Am I right? So that much faster it is. So does it mean? It doesn't mean that you have to use this kind of a shutter speed, but it is. It gives you a much sharper picture. Now, these are some pictures I have taken in an indoor in Zumba in Alcover. I had a lot of challenge there inside because there was no light. So and also when they were dancing, they used a kind of a different light which was very feeble, and so I didn't get enough light to shoot this. And at the same time, I also wanted to try something. In the first picture, the person, I just want to make a kind of meeting has been upgraded by the host. Okay. Meeting is going on now. Hello, Libin. I got a message now.
No, it's fine. All good.
It's going on.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the second picture, if you see that, I wanted a kind of aperture, shutter speed that I want to show a kind of movement. The dress or maybe the shoes should have a kind of moving thing, and rest of the thing should be in position. So I was trying different shutter speeds in this particular situation, and somehow I managed my pictures, and I was happy with this. So what is my point is? My point is that you have to not to stick with a kind of shutter speed and say this is what the shutter speed of a portraiture. Now you have to keep playing with this. You have to keep playing with your shutter speed, and you have to know, by doing it by yourself, you have to know what kind of a shutter speed, what you really require in different kind of situations. So that is what I was showing you, this one. And okay, here is, this is a little bit of, we talk about posing, because poses are really, really important when you do portraitures. We really don't think about the hair. We really don't think about the crops. We really don't think about different aspects of the body parts in a portrait photography. But for me, these are very important, and these are the things that will make very clear and very very significant changes in your photography. Now let us look at the pose. There are 6 photographs here, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The first one is, it is all about the hair. Now, if you look at that, it is a weird idea that you keep the hair on your shoulder, because that kills the shape of the person in one way. So there are 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, other photographs. And in the number 2, you will find, here it is. Okay. Here is number 2 rules, that the person is, can you see the difference here? The first photo, you will find the chin is down, and it is a kind of the chin and the body is together. You will not see that difference much. The second photograph, the pull the chin or ears forward towards the photograph, so that you see, a very clear difference. Here, if you look at this picture, see, the person is pushing her face towards the photograph. That makes it, a clear difference in the picture. This is the same thing. This is for male, and this is for female. Now, what is the idea behind is that if you keep different parts of your body, like your hands, your legs, and your face, close together to your body, that means you will not find that difference. You will not find that clear shapes. So that is the reason a photographer is asking a model to push, or her head a little bit ahead, so that there is a clear difference from the body and the clear shape between the body and the face. So here, if you look at this photograph, and if you look at this one, this is for male, you will see that difference. Even though the difference is subtle, that is very evident in a photograph. Now, let's come to this picture again. Now, if you look at the first picture, you will find the hand of the lady, it's connected to her body, and it is squeezed to her body, and it gives her 2 different things. One is that the hand is, squeezed towards the body, and you will find the body, the hand is much fatty or bigger. But if you keep that hand away from her, you will find that it's much smaller, because it's not touching, so it is not flat now. And the second thing is, you will find the hand is much slim, and also you will find a kind of separation between the body and the hands. So when you keep it away, you will find the body very clearly, the shape of the back and the shape of the hand, and you will find 2 different parts. One is a hand, and this other one is a body. And you will find 2 different curves. A body is, the body in a portraiture is becoming beautiful when you find that curve. Like we say, a person is standing like a straight. You will not find it as attractive in a portrait photography. But if you find it a curve, like you see the shape of the body, then it will be more appealing. So that's what's happening in the second picture. You will find the curve of the back of the person, as well as the hand. In the first picture, you will not see. So that is the reason why you see, the difference. Now, this is the third one. This is also similarly the hand. You can see the left hand in the first picture is close to the body, and then you find your body is much bigger, or a fat kind of a body. The second picture, you see a very clear difference between the hand, separation between the body and the hand. So that means your body becomes smaller here, and you will find the shape of the second hand and the body itself. So there is a kind of curve that comes in, which is not in the first picture. That gives a better perspective and better feel in the second picture. Similarly, if you look at this picture, the person is posing the camera very straightforward. And the second picture, you find that the person is twisted a little bit towards one side, and you will find the person is it feels much slimmer than the other picture. You can see the line. Both the lines are with the similar length, but the poses, only just because of the poses, you find that the second picture is more appealing to the eyes, or more smaller, thinner. And here, what is the difference here? The most active part of a portrait is the eye of a portrait. The eye, the moving eye. One day, I took one picture of a masjid here in Al Kuwait, and it was a long exposure photography. I took nearly 6 to 10 seconds of photograph, and it was a very good photograph according to me those days. Then I took to one of the senior photographer in FSO. By seeing the photo, he asked me one question, a single question. He asked me, where is the life? Where is the life of the photo? Then I thought, what is the life in a mosque photography? Photograph of a mosque, what is the life? Maybe there are people inside, that's a life. But then I didn't get enough time to talk to him. I left, and that night I was thinking, I didn't get what the life was. Then later I found that there was a clock in that picture, and I couldn't see the needles of that picture. That means it was lifeless. That means that is the only moving thing, and it was missing. Similarly, here if you look at the a human face, the most evident part or attractive part is your eyes. And in the first picture, you will not see the eyes very clearly. Rather, you will find only the white part of the eye, which is not so attractive. You look at the second picture, then you will find more, the iris. So that is the active part. That's why most of the photographers, they tend to focus on the nearest eye, because that is the life of the photograph. So to give more life to your picture, try to bring your iris or people towards the camera, and that should be the connecting part between you and the camera. You see the very big difference between the first and the second picture because of this aspect. Now this is the next picture. If you look at this one, this is a big lesson for everybody. If you look at the first picture, you can see the nose is cutting and coming out of the face. That means it's cutting the face line. The second picture, it is a little bit towards the camera, and the nose is inside the face itself, and you will not find it is cutting the outer line of your face. So that is more appealing in this. So whenever you keep your hands, whenever you keep your face towards the camera, try not to cut it, try not to create a different part. Now what happens is, if you try to cross, and you will find a third part is getting generated inside your photo because of your pose. So don't try to do that, because some people, they have a kind of double chin, some people, they have a bigger nose, some people, they have a kind of a very thin kind of cheek. So these all can create a third part if your pose is not accurate. So that is a lesson from this particular slide. So now this is a final, bringing all together. Now let's look at from the beginning once again, a very quick look. The first one is that the hair is in the shoulder. To separate that, we tried either in the second picture, all the entire hair, we took it behind, or we put it forward, or the number four photo, you find one side is in front, and in the other photo it is similar thing, but the other side is in front, and the sixth one is we eliminated, the entire bunch of hair. So these are the different things. Don't just put it on the shoulder and cover one part of your body with another part of it. Try to keep it separate. Try to keep, bring a kind of shape into your picture. Second one is try always to keep up, not to keep together, and try to get a kind of separation between your different body parts. That's why she's just pushing her head a little bit ahead. Similarly, here you'll find it. And always try not to keep all your body parts together. Try to keep a kind of separation and try to get the shape out of it. The beautiful curve of your body, try to project in a photography. And here it is. Again, you will find when she kept her hand away from that, you will find it as more subtle and more beautiful. And here it is. If you keep straight forward and if you turn a little bit, hello? Yeah. Similarly, this photo. Here we are trying to bring more, iris into the picture. We are trying to not to bring a lot of white of your eye to the picture. Here, again, when you pose, try not to break the other shape, a shape, of your body by using, here it is a nose, but in some cases you can use your hand to break that shape. Sometimes people, they sit, keeping leg on the top, and the entire, you will find the person is a little bit smaller. This is all you can do by, following a wrong type of, poses. So that's a small thing. And finally, a picture with the sample. Now, let us talk about background and selection and framing. Here, I just wanted to talk to you, what is a portraiture? What is a photograph is? A photograph is, kind of frame that you're bringing different beautiful elements and arranging them in a nice way, which is appealing for others. That's basically the idea of framing something. So, here in a portraiture, what I used to do, something I just want to share with you here. If you look at the, different backgrounds, what you have here, can you see this here? These are the different backgrounds you get when you blur your camera. What is it? How does it happen? Suppose you have a, manual focus. You have your camera on manual focus. Put it on manual focus and look at behind you. Okay, and don't look at so close to you. Look at a little bit far away, a little further away. So then you will find a different, because it is your camera is not in focus. You will not find the picture, but you will find these kind of different kind of background textures that I don't know what to call it, but I call them different kind of textures. The first one I see as a kind of plain one. The second one is a sunny day, and the third one is a nighttime with some lights. These are not small lights, rather a big light, and the third one is the fourth one is with a lot of lights, but they are very small lights and they are very far away, different colored lights, and that looks very good. And the fourth one is a kind of dark and which is not a kind of interesting one. So this you can put, if you have, especially you have a 70-200 or any lens with this more than 70 mm, you can put it in manual and keep it out of focus, maximum out of focus, and look behind. And you will find these kind of things behind you, and then you can use them to frame your portraitures, because here we are using a background, your portraitures, there are certain rules. One thing is that you have your portraitures to stand out from the background. Second thing, the background should be some kind of nice and clean, so that your portraiture will be, more appealing. So that's here. I will show you a sample here. This was, we had a photography workshop maybe in 2017, and some of my people, they tried, shooting a small, very small idol of a goddess, Saraswati, I believe. And if you look at these pictures, on the first picture you will see a chair, a couch. The second picture you find something. It is not, the picture is not very, very clearly visible, and it is with a lot of disturbance. So the first thing is when you frame something, the rule number one is remove all that what you don't need in a picture. So the thing is that you remove everything what you don't require in a photograph. Okay. Now if you look at this picture, this is more clear, but still you will find a lot of disturbances, and also the way they took the picture. And when you look at this picture, what do you think about this picture? So this is a much appealing frame than this one, and all those things. Why is that? Because here the people, they just stand somewhere and they take a picture. They're not bothered about what is happening around, and they don't really understand what kind of background they require. Similarly, as I told you here, what this was demonstrated by me, I just wanted to bring a kind of divine background because it's a goddess. So to do that, if you look at this picture, in this picture you will find some red. The first picture you will find some red background. Can you see that? I hope you can see that, right? So I found that is a kind of divine, the best available in.
Abdul, I think you're moving very fast. I mean, you're switching between the pictures very fast, and it is not refreshing equally fast for us.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I was trying to
switch
catch
between
the
the
time.
photos a bit slow. Yeah, I get it.
Okay. Okay, I'll come down. Okay, here, as I told you before, I was telling you that how did I create these backgrounds? These are not created by me, but normally I do this. I check like this. You can put your, camera, lens in a manual mode and blur your background. That means keep your lens out of focus and look around you. And you will find different kind of,
We lost him. Others, can you hear Abdul Azeez?
No, I think we lost him.
Yeah, we've lost him, and we just have to wait for him to come back.
Even I sent him message. Just
Okay.
not seen, but
you guys can see now? Sunilji, you can see? I'm seeing only you. Can you show your hand if you can listen to me and
Yes.
see the picture?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. Now, the second picture, you find the couch, and the third picture, you find a lot of distracting element. And then, yeah, here again, this picture is much appealing, but still the perspective, we always say that it should be, the level of your eye level. Okay. And if you look at this picture, it is not. And the third picture, even the goddess is not, because here there is something you have to look at the goddess. Goddess has got 4 hands. That means it's a kind of symmetry. You need both the hands and both the sides, right? Then you will find the symmetry. So these are all the thought process that goes behind. Now, if you look at the first picture in this screen, you will find some red element backside. Can you see that? Some red elements backside. So I was thinking in this particular situation, this is the red I need to bring as a background to bring my goddess in front of that and portray her, with what the best background available. So what I did is, the first thing what I did is I kept my lens and I blurred the background and I looked at and I find the best area, the red area where I could. Then I came right in front of the idol. I came very close to the idol and I focused the idol. And then I found this background and I shot this picture. Now, would you agree with me that this is the best framing than this one, and this one? So this is very important because I find so much, so many of my friends, when they get a chance, they just go and shoot. They just don't care about their, the surrounding, or they don't care the background. They don't care any aesthetic elements that is available within that area. No, just go shoot. So you can listen me again, right? Anuji, I'm seeing you.
Yeah, Abdul Azeez, you
Yeah.
can try to switch off your video. Maybe the bandwidth will be better.
My video, okay. My video. If my video is switched off, then they can see the pictures.
Yeah.
Screen share.
Yeah.
They can see the screen share, right? So this is basically what is that? Is this? They removed my network, and they were doing. They were doing what is that? Fiber optics, and they did half the way and they left. So now I don't have fiber optics. I don't have the other one as well. I'm between. So after that, it is happening very frequently. So now this is the idea of framing, and this is the idea of creating a nice background. Now let's talk about focus and depth of field. According to my understanding, depth of field means depth of field means the area which is clear in your picture, and the rest of the thing which is not clear, we call it shallow depth of field. Now, this is a kind of technicality that we make use to get better pictures. So that's what we do in a portraiture, mostly in portraiture and in photographs. The thing is that it depends on certain things. First thing is, what I want you to understand is, the first thing is, if you look at the center plane, and I hope you can see the screen, right, everybody? Anuji, you can see the screen?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Now, the thing is that the center part is the focus. That is the plane that gives you the sharpest thing, in your photograph. But at the same time, 1/3 in front of that and 2/3 behind that are in accepted focus. So basically, they are also considered as focused area, even though they are not the sharpest in your picture. So please do understand that accepted focus is 1/3 in front of your subject, where your camera is hitting, your focus point is hitting, and 2/3 of that particular thing of your subject. So that means this is the area what is in the focus. We call it depth of field. So this is what in your focus, this is what it is very clear and evident in your picture. At the same time, you will find, in front of that and behind that, things are not clear in a picture. That is what we call, a shallow depth of field. Okay, now this happens in several things. One, if you are very close to your subject, what happens? Your background, like I'll just pull it here to show you that now. See, if I am, this is, suppose you are the cameraman, if you're going behind, your depth of field will also be going, getting bigger and bigger. That means your 1/3 1/3 in the front and 2/3 behind will be becoming more. That means whenever you go far from your subject, you get more area into the picture. Now, why I'm talking this is, there was a question that sometime before, can you shoot a port, like a landscape with 1.4 aperture or 2-point aperture, 2.8 aperture? Yes, it is possible. You don't have to worry, because the focus point, what is with you, if it is not near, then it will be in the focus. That means how far you are from the subject. That makes. So the depth of field, there are 3 things that is affecting the depth of field. I'll show you that. Now, if you look at this picture, you see that your narrow depth of field, your depth of field is very small. It is because, and at the same time, you will find in another picture, your depth of field is much bigger. Can you see that? Here, this is the narrow depth of field, the small area, this arrow. The second picture, you see the arrow is much bigger. Now, how does it make, how can you control this? How can you control your depth of field in a picture? Because you are the person, you are going to design your picture, you are going to shoot what you wanted. So you are going to decide it. So you are going to make it. Now, let us see how can you make it. Your, depth of field is very narrow because there are 3 different elements. One is that your aperture number is bigger. Let me say, 1.4. Yeah, Sonalji, are you hearing? You're showing your hand. Yeah. Suppose your aperture is 1.4 or aperture 2 or 1.8. These are big numbers. At the same time, your aperture, these are small numbers, but your aperture is much bigger. The whole of your lens is much bigger. But if you go down, your aperture number is bigger, let's say it is 8 or 11 or 13 or 16, then you get much, wider area in focus. So the first thing is to create a narrow depth of field, because I want my rabbit in a very clear focus, and I want the background and the foreground to be blurred. So I don't want much area in my DOF field or depth of field. So what normally I can do is I can reduce my aperture number, which is I'm making my aperture round bigger. That means 1.4, or 1.8 or 2.8, etc. So in that case, you can get a very narrow depth of field. Similarly, if you increase the number to, let's say 8 or maybe 11 or 13, you can get a very large depth of field where you will find your rabbit and your background, your foreground, everything is in a very clear focus. Now, how can we make use of this in a portraiture aspects, or if you don't want your background, because sometime before, in FSO, we were discussing about a photograph. It was actually, went to a, photography competition somewhere outside Oman, and they rejected that photograph just because, because of the cluttered background. It was a kind of bullfight situation. And the person, the 2 bulls, it was a beautiful poster, but you find a lot of background, people are standing, and it was so much cluttered, and your subject was not standing out. Okay, maybe those kind of a situation, you may require to clear your background by using this technique. To get this, narrow depth of field and remove your background, which is a very necessary or necessity in a outdoor, portraiture thing. So what you do is you have to, open up your aperture to maximum in order to avoid your background, as seen in the picture 1. If you really think that the rabbit and the background is really you require in a photograph, then you have to increase, the number. You have to make your number big, let's say 8 or 11 or, according to your interest, so that you get a much larger depth of field. Now, the second thing what you can do is you can go closer to your subject. Suppose you are, a 10 feet or a 10 meter away from your rabbit. So you go closer to 2 meters to your rabbit. So what happens is, again, the same thing is happening, regardless to your aperture. Okay, again, maybe your aperture is 5.6, but the same thing will happen. If you go near to the, the rabbit, and again you try to, look at the rabbit, then you will find your background is, blurred again. It is not clearly visible in the screen. Similarly, if you go back or if you increase your aperture, same thing is happening. So I hope you understand this. This is what happened in this first picture. I want to show you this picture here. This is very, very close. This room is very small, but the photographer is very close. This idol, the Saraswati idol is, I think it's not more than 3 or 4 inches big. To get this in the picture and to get the background blur, it was a huge task, and it was taken as close as possible to the idol. That is the reason the background is blurred. So this was tried 3 times, and then we kept the idol, much far away from the subject. But again, there was another challenge. If you keep the idol far away from the background, what happens is the background goes away from the frame. So you cannot do that as well. You have to bring the, the red color within the frame. You see that if you keep the idol far away, what happens is this will become a small part. The red will become only a small part of your frame. So you don't want that as well. You need the entire red color within the frame. At the same time, you also need the background to be blurred. And at the same time, you also want the background to provide a kind of beautiful, color, texture. So this all should happen. Okay. So that's what I'm trying to explain it here in this picture. So you have, you can increase your, aperture, and at the same time, you can also go closer to your subject to get or avoid your background and get more area blurred. At the same time, the large depth of field, normally we use, for landscape photography, where we need everything is within the frame itself. Okay. Now, let's talk about a little bit of light. Libin, how much time we do have now?
Fortunately, we are continuing with the first session itself, so you can continue because they didn't disconnect after 40 minutes. So we are still in the first session, so it's okay. We have another 30 minutes.
Okay, fine. So before I go to the next session, I just want you to just open up everybody and let's have some discussion on the points what we discussed, and I request you to continue. Let everybody open up, and then the people, those who have extra sound in their home, please mute yourself and open whenever it is required. And let us discuss these points, and let's go ahead after that.
Okay, guys, do you have any questions?
Anybody?
Sushant was asking something in the chat box.
Abdul, hi.
Sushant.
Abdul, thanks for all your help. It was glad the way you have been explaining the details. Thanks for the details. But just have one small query in regards to the first point when you started. You have mentioned that 70-20 or whatever the lenses we have been using are good for photography. But I have seen people, and personally, I have also sometimes have experienced taking photographs with 100-400. So do you think 100-400 will also be feasible? Because when you at the beginning, you mentioned that using a 70-200, you have been clicking at 180. So if I use 100-400, obviously I'll be getting 180 in the same lens also. So do you think that would help, or like that would be, that would not be, the focus will go out of it if I use 100-400?
No, see,
I have a prime 50.
I encourage you to use 100-400.
Okay.
You know what? I have taken some photographs. I had a client one time before, and we went to a place, near to Jifni, that Oman Cement Company. You know that? Oman Cement Factory. It's a kind of area. It looks like a Texas. I never been to Texas, but according to my idea, it was. And we went there. And there we wanted to shoot something. And the thing is that I shot it with different lenses, but then I shot it with 100 mm, 135 mm, 70-200. But finally, something stuck in my mind. I had my birding lens in my car. I took that lens. I went far away. From that, I zoomed in. I shot it, and it was a beautiful shot. Unfortunately, I didn't take it for this one today, so I don't have that photo here to show you. So that was a beautiful photograph. I've seen people using it, and I myself tried with photograph. You go far away, then you zoom in, and then you try to make use of the zoom compression with 100-400. It's better than 70-200. But in terms of 70, yeah, please.
No, sorry, please continue.
Yeah. So that is, I really encourage you to do that, and it is a really useful thing. But there are some technical aspects that you will face. One thing is that 100 and 200 is the minimal focal length is 100. So you have to go far away from your subject. Yes, maybe that is not possible in a given area, or maybe inside a home, or such kind of things you have to face. But if you have enough space, it is an advisable thing. It is a thing that you should try as a photographer. You don't have to, you have to try it. You can get beautiful photos out of 100-400. I tried it even with 100 and 600. It's really beautiful. You can do that. It gives a totally different perspective.
I have a prime lens of 50 mm. Plus I have 18-135. I have been using both, but personally on my, I have figured out that 100-400 is far better if it's outside. Obviously in indoor, it's not practically possible, but outside 100-400 is far more better in comparison to 50 mm or 80 mm, any prime lens. If I talk about my personal experience, I am no offense to anybody.
Here, there is another thing I would like to point out. That means you said 18-135, right?
Yeah, 18-135.
18-135 is not a professional lens,
Yeah,
but
it's a kit lens.
Maybe your 100-400 is a professional lens.
Yeah, that it is.
50 mm also, if it is a 1.8, is not that much, a professional level lens. But your 100-400 is a much professional, thing than the other two. That could also be a possibility. Yeah. But what you can try to achieve from 100 and 400 is the zoom compression is much more evident. You can get a kind of very, very creamy background. Everything goes off, and you will not find any kind of any kind of evidence of anything. Just kind of creamy environment that you can create with 100, 400, 100, 600. And that is the much
sorry to interrupt you. What would you suggest for an indoor one? Should we use the prime, or should we use one?
No, I always use prime lens. And I love to work with prime lenses. But sometimes I use 2470, because 2470 was the lens I bought it with a lot of hope, and I was very desperate after using it. And nearly 6 months I didn't touch it. And I started hating that lens. Then one day, of course, our great guru, Mr. Faisal Shaksi, I was working with him one day, and I found that this gentleman, he was using only 2470, which I was hating. And I said, such a great photographer, he was using 2470, which then there should be something, something fishy in that. Then I came home, I started working on that lens. I just want to advise everybody that don't switch on to lens without understanding what it is. You will take, at least for me, I will take at least 1 month time to understand a lens. Now 2470 is one of the hot favorite of mine. I really love it because I know how to take photograph out of it after 8-9 months investing my time on it. So it's such a beautiful lens, but you should know 50 mm is a lens. If you just go with the 50 mm, you will not be able to take photograph the way you want it. You need to work on it. Before you buy and collect a lot of lens, you try to work on your lens. And 70-200 is a beautiful lens if you know how to take it. But personally, I'm not interested to take, a portrait photograph not less than 85 mm focal length. My favorite length is 135 mm. But the problem is with 135 mm, it requires a lot of distance from the subject and you. That is, mostly it is not available indoor and even outdoor. You will have a tree behind you, you will have a dish behind you, those kind of stuff. But 135 mm is the perfect length I would like to always work. 70-200 mm, as I told you, if you have enough space and it's a beautiful lens, if you shoot between 180 to 200, it gives you kind of very creamy background, which I always wanted to use in all my outdoor portraits.
Abdul Azeez, I want to add something to this.
Please.
I don't suggest anybody use more than 70-100 because most of the time everybody is shooting unprofessional people, not the real people who can model or good with camera. The more you add equipments to your thing like bigger lenses, the people become more conscious. And if you are saying like if you're using 100 to 400, then the lens is heavy, then you will lose time in focusing, checking the frame, and you might have to have tripod and other things, higher shutter speed, all those things, unless and until you are not shooting in bright light. Then with all those things, then you will lose the patience of the person, and the expression will not come good. I suggest it is better. I suggest 70-100 itself is a maximum thing, because the heavy lens and the person in front of the camera will become more conscious. And I don't suggest anybody use lesser than 50 mm, because below 50 mm it start distracting the face, unless and until you have a purpose of that one. Nobody
Yeah,
wants
this one is on the screen.
nobody wants to see their face with a bigger nose or smaller eyes or bigger lips or anything like that. That is my point.
Yeah, thank you, Mr.
Okay,
Heyman. Yeah. Hemant,
Abdul Azeez,
I want to answer this, Mr. Hemant's this question. I'm not encouraging people and go to take a photograph, but I just want, if you have a lens 100 and 400 in a wide area, in a far area, if you go and zoom and take a photograph with that, you will get a totally different perspective. Even in a professional photographers, sometimes to create certain perspective, they can use it, but it doesn't mean that you have to use and carry it. You can try it. That's what I just mean. Yes, KK, sorry for that.
Another point I wanted to add is if you use a 100-400 lens, you're probably very far from your subject, from your model. Okay, and then if you want to ask the model, okay, to move your face to the left, to the right, you probably will have to yell at her or him, the model, because they are very far. So practically, it won't be possible. Not really.
So that is a kind of technical thing we are discussing. That is a kind of technical thing. I understand what you mean by that. That is the reason Mr. Livin was using his walkie-talkie sometime before. No. What I didn't mean all that. I didn't mean all that. I understood that. But if you have a 72, 100, 400, try with that. And what I mean, it's very simple. If you are going high on a object and take a photo from high, you take a photograph from directly in front of, you go low and take a photograph, you will find 3 different photographs. Believe me, 3 different perspectives. Similarly, if you take a photograph with the 100 and 400, 100 and 600, you will find totally different perspective. So as a photographer, just try it. That's it. It doesn't mean you have to stick with that.
There's one more question.
Thank you, guys. Yeah. KK, you will not ask me a question. You will just advise me. Okay?
No.
There is one Mr. Rajesh. KK, there is a Rajesh has to say something.
Yeah.
Hi, KK. Thanks for your presentation and all. Can you just explain that we discussed about this belly and you try to capture it and you mentioned that it is very low light, and because I am also facing the same kind of issues, but how you manage to get this with the higher shutter speed without flash, I believe.
The questions to KK?
No, actually, sorry. When we started, I said KK and Vinod are co-hosts. They will take the questions, and in between the session, they will raise to you if required. Otherwise, we'll keep it in the end. So now, if something is missed, you can KK will raise. That's why KK was about to ask something, I think. Because someone posted maybe some comment. So it's okay, Rajesh. Now you can directly ask to Abdul Azeez. You are asking to Abdul Azeez, right? Or...
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Can I?
Abdul Azeez,
I think we lost him again, maybe.
I think we can discuss till Abdul Azeez is coming back. KK, you want to add something?
No, I mean, I didn't want to add anything. I just want to tell Abdul Aziz that the question is here. So the question is, can you explain ISO, f-stop and shutter speed combination for ballet or any sport event or fast moving subject? I understand you're talking about the dance form.
Yeah, various dance forms. If you want to capture it, then we are not allowed to take a flash, because the subject is maybe distracted from by our flashlights. So, and he just Abdul Aziz explained with few photographs. I think one is black and white and one is color photograph for the same ballet event. So I want to just understand that what kind of ISO, like the main triangle we need to set
So
right.
basically your question is where the subject is fast moving or there's low light. That is your question, correct?
Yeah.
So assuming there is less light, okay. So then what you need to do in terms of the aperture or the shutter speed or the ISO. If there is less light, you have to increase the size of the aperture so that you get more light in.
More
correct?
light in, yeah.
Yeah. Second
Rather than
option
ISO.
is rather than ISO. Second option is to increase the ISO. Correct.
Yeah.
And the third option is reduce the shutter speed. Now the question is, if it's a fast moving subject, you probably want a faster shutter speed to freeze the motion.
Yeah, about 1,000 or around more than 1,000.
You may not need 1,000. You may not need 1,000. Even say 250 or maybe 500 is more than enough. But again, it depends on the kind of light condition available. If you are in such a situation that the light is very low, so you probably don't want any dragging in the subject, that you don't want the subject to move. You want it very sharp and crisp. Probably
Still,
then you want to increase, still subject. Then you probably want to increase your shutter speed. Now the problem is when you're increasing the shutter speed, you're capturing less light.
Yes.
Correct. The shutter closes very fast. So then you need to increase the light captured by the camera. So what you do, you increase the aperture, then make the aperture as big as possible. So suppose you're shooting with a 70-200 lens at 2.8, you probably shoot at 2.8, assuming the light is less. Correct. Yeah. Even in that case, even 2.8 is not enough. Then you will probably pump up the ISO.
Okay.
Yeah, so if 100 is not enough, you probably go to 200, probably 400. So your constraint is, first of all, you have to understand the constraint. Your constraint is there's low light and then you want to freeze the subject. So you fix the shutter speed first. What is the shutter speed that you want?
Okay.
Correct. And then you adjust the other aspects and you go to ISO the last. So shutter speed first, and then you adjust the aperture, and then you go to ISO. Because the lower the ISO, you get noiseless images.
Noiseless, yeah.
Yeah. Hope that is clear for you.
Thanks, KK. Yeah.
Yeah, welcome.
I think Abdul Azeez got some issue with the net, so he's trying to join from the mobile. So there was another question, I believe. Vinod, did you notice any other questions?
Sushant was asking something else, I think, no? One more question. Is it there?
I think
no.
It's okay. Okay, you can, others, if you have any other question, you can just raise now until Abdul Azeez is back.
KK, I would want to raise a simple question, okay? Let us say you want to shoot pictures at an Arangetram. Typical Arangetram, Bharatanatyam performance in a hall. And as the constraints have already been discussed now. Light, ISO, blah, 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 blah. My question is different. What is the best backdrop on the stage that should be done by the organizers so that the photographers get a chance? They don't, Like I've seen some places they put a white background and you get nasty shadows and multiple shadows from multiple lights and all that. So what would your recommendation be for the background? You know, is it something plain or a picture or something black or dark blue or what?
Well, there are a lot of, if you see, there are a lot of pictures available online. And if you see most of the professional performances, you will have darker backgrounds. The reason is because most of these stages, you will have a flashlight or a floodlight or a focus light on the dancers. So the dancers are lit, and then you will get proper contrast if the background is darker. I personally feel that it's kind of monotonous. Like it's again a personal feeling, personal taste. I would prefer something, you must have seen this velvet curtains, like in ripples. So I've seen some pictures where you have some kind of, rather than just having a black background or a darker background, maybe some colors, some just to add some texture to it. I've even seen in some stages they have, something like, mural paintings, which is generally kept darker. If you have an artist performing, and then the stage organizers are a bit artistic, what they do is they'll make sure that the background is a bit lighter than the lighting on the subject, that is the dancers.
Hello?
So always good to have a contrast. Yes, Abdul, welcome back.
Yeah, I'm sorry, there was something is going on here. Rajesh, can you come back to the question once again?
Yeah, Abdul Aziz, KK has explained and we discussed it that
I think you missed it, Abdul. Yeah.
Again, maybe.
Again, I think. After that, there was another question which Shankar raised. Shankar was asking, in a dance performance, like, what is the ideal background that can be used? Is it a light background, dark background, or what is the logic of selecting
Logic
the
is
right
very
background?
simple. If you have dances, of course, we consider like a sports, it's moving thing. And if we are not, a staged one, and there is no other way that we can do it. The thing is that if you're using available, the background, if you are in a staging a performance, of course, you can have your own background. But if you're not staging a performance, if you're looking with the available thing, and it is very difficult. Why? Because if you find a very nice background, but to get that background, you have to move away from the subject, or maybe you have to, keep your, look from the subject. That means you have to go one side, then the perspective of the object will not be correct. Like this was an experiment, for me. Paris Lakshmi, she came to Alpha Lodge Hotel. So the one side of the, background is, the stage is very nice. If I go there and shoot, what happens is she will not be facing it. So I have to get her, towards my camera. At the same time, I have to look for an empty space where I can, shoot her. So in such a situation, there is no, other way that you have to shoot with the existing thing. If you are not, staging it. But normally these people, when they do, stage shows, they will have a better, stage that we can make use of it.
To add it to this background, it's better to have a darker background like black, like KK said, only because the background will not distract the person who is performing in the front. When we are shooting live concert, there is no lighting control. We have to manage our thing as per the lighting set over there. So it is easy to manage when it is darker background rather than a whiter or a lighter background.
I'd like to add something over here at this stage. Generally, exactly as Hemant mentioned, a darker background would be better, would be preferable. But do remember, as once again Hemant pointed out, that you do not have control over the ambient lighting over there. The lighting over there on stage is being controlled by the lights guy. So you can at the most use your flash as a soft fill-in, or you have to just go with the available ambient light. That's point number one. Point number two is, it's very, very important to see before you decide on a light or a dark background as to what the color of the costumes are. If the background is dark and they are wearing a very dark costume, your costume is going to blend into the background, as is the hair of the dancer. You won't get separation from there. Once again, if you're trying to arrange for an Arangetam, try to tell the lighting people over there to try and provide some sort of backlight. So you get a sort of a rim light or a hair light which separates the person's outline from the background, even if they have both, even if they are both dark.
Someone's TV is switched on. Could you kindly switch it off, please?
Hey, I'm muted.
Arangetam
Any
practice
other
going on?
questions, please? Yeah. Anyway, so
Hey, it's
any
okay.
other?
I was muted on the whole conversation. It's okay. Anyway, thanks, Prakash, for highlighting that the costume color also makes a impact, and that's exactly what KK also said, that we need a contrast between the subject and the background.
Right. Any more questions, guys?
Levin, this is the first session or second session?
Actually, somehow Zoom gave us more privilege. I think it's still continuing with the first session, which is good.
Maybe they are taking all your data. Still, it's not finished. Okay.
Maybe. So we are still in first session, but we are almost completing 1.5 hours, which was supposed to be the all session. But it's okay. As long as you are okay to continue, we can continue.
I just wanted to know, because we just wanted to have a discussion with this, and anybody who wants to have any different questions.
Yeah. Let's kind of. I think if someone has some questions, yes.
I don't think there's any more questions. Can we continue then?
Yes, I have prepared my material for 1.5 hours. So now, okay.
So in the meanwhile, if someone has got questions, they just keep on posting in the chat. We'll respond to you immediately or whenever we have a break.
I think Abdul Azeez, if you prepared only this much material, it's fine, because we are just completing 1.5 hours. So it's fine.
Yeah.
You can keep the
I'll
rest.
talk another 10-15 minutes more. And then, because, I wanted to talk about portrait composition, and there are some do's and don'ts, which I couldn't finish it. Anyway, we can talk about it. Here, I just want to show you some of the pictures. And here we are talking about the light. How do you make use of the light? This is actually, a picture I have taken in this, what is that, Coram Park. Now, there is a story behind this. This is actually, one of our senior photographer, Mr. Srivastava Shankara. He's unfortunately not with us now. He's with in Dubai, I believe. So he's enjoying Dubai photography. I don't know whether he's available in this group or not. Now, he has shown me something. Basically, when you look at a background, if you look at that, you will find a lot of places here with a lot of light. This is around 2 o'clock noon. We shot this photo. Now, the first photo, this one and this photo, if you look at the background, you will find there's a very dark area. The background is very dark. Actually, it is a hollow place. It's a hole between a building which is not very old building, and it is actually a place. It's a kind of hollow place, and there is no light at all. But if you look at the image, that black thing we made use of for this particular photograph, and we use the extra light what is coming from outside at 2 o'clock within the park, without using any extra softening of the light, like using any kind of reflectors or diffusers, something. This is the thing at twist. This is a thing that came to me from Mr. Srivastava, and thankful to him that mostly whenever we see a black background, we just try to avoid it, and we don't use this kind of place where we say there is no light, so let's go back and take a photo. And that is how we took this photo. This is in the normal spot metering mode. If you keep your object in a hollow place where it is so dark, but the object should be in light in front of that dark place, and if you take a shot, and you will get a shot without, and it's the face is very clean, there is no shadow, nothing, because it is under a shade, but
I think we lost him again. Okay, if you have any other...
Until he comes back, if anybody has any questions, they might as well fire away.
Yeah.
hello?
We can
Yes,
hear
Abdul.
you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here I just want to show my screen. My screen is visible there.
Not yet.
Okay. What's happening today? I don't know. All my things are going.
I think because you are sharing the screen, then voice, video, so that's...
Okay. I think, did you disconnect anything, disabled my screen sharing option?
Nothing. You have the
One
button.
second, gentlemen.
Yeah. Share screen.
But that is disabled now. That's the reason I'm just looking for that. That option is disabled.
I think it's something to do with your setting. Here, nothing changed.
I'm not able to do that ribbon. It is showing that.
You can try to just leave and come again.
Leave and come.
Yeah.
Okay, let's now.
Abdul Azeez, just try again. I make you as host. Just try. Try now. Still cannot.
Can you see my screen now?
No. So I think maybe you have to rejoin.
Okay, somebody take over, please. I'll just quit and I'll come back again.
Abdul Azeez.
Okay.
Yeah, now it's okay.
Okay. So I'm just coming to this picture here. Basically, a photograph is, who's that meeting? Somebody's very issues.
Abdul Azeez, can you switch back host to me, because I will admit the people.
How can I do that?
So just click on ISE photography and right click and make host.
Oh,
You have
ISE?
yeah, you have more option, no? You click on more and then you will see make host.
Right here, okay, and that one.
No, in the participants.
Okay, more. Make
Yeah.
host, disable show, record chat, disable participant annotation, hide, share.
Make host.
There is no option here. Chat,
Abdul,
record, disable. Yeah.
Abdul, in the chat window, if you just hover your mouse pointer over that name, you'll see a mute and a more pop up in a white over blue.
Okay, from that particular person. Okay.
Or you can click
Make,
on.
yes, I did.
Yeah.
I did that. I did that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Now it's clear.
Yeah.
Everybody, you can see this picture. Now, this picture, I just wanted to, show you some kind of shades. So there is nothing in this picture. It's very clear, but still, the beauty of this picture is different types of shades. The mixing different types of shades, and the picture is the beauty of the picture. And there are a few things we need to be very careful. The first thing is that your object is placed where? The object is placed in front of light, or the light is in front of your object, or your object is facing the light. Now what happens is, I would like to shoot, if there is no light, external light we are using, then we love to shoot early morning. Let's say, just the beautiful soft sunlight, the first sunlight of the day, or maybe in the evening after 4 o'clock, or maybe after some time. It's according to the harshness of the light. Sometimes you use, if it is more than 7 or 8 o'clock here in Oman, you will find the light is very harsh. But maybe in India it is a different situation. By 9 o'clock you will have a better light than here in Oman. So light differs in different situations, different time, and different situations. Like the harsh light, what it gives you a kind of very harsh kind of shadow. Like we say, you're now standing at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock here in Oman. So what happens is, you will find a huge, a big shadow of your nose itself is creating a kind of different image on your face. Now, this is a scenario what I'm talking, where we are not using any kind of artificial light and trying to use the existing light, because most of our people, they are not professionals, or they just they always take photographs of their family and children and etc. So in this case, the best thing is that we are not supposed to stand in front of a harsh light. Rather, we can take a subject to a kind of shadow, okay, under a tree or under a place. They will have a softer light. And try to avoid this heavy, harsh lights that is coming across your face and trying to create a kind of weird image on your face. And the second thing is, what you can do is, you can use a reflector. Maybe some of you may be using a reflector, or if you have any kind of even a white paper, a little bit bigger, drawing sheet, or maybe even if you can use a thermocol sheet to take some light inside on the face of the object, and that way you can remove the shadows. Okay. If you have a thermocol sheet, you try to reflect the existing light to the face of the subject and try to eliminate those shadows what is on the face of that subject, and you can get a much clearer picture. Again, when you do this, when you use a reflector, or when you use this kind of a thermocol sheet, you have to take care of a few things. One, you need to know the direction of light. You need to know the direction of natural patterns of the normal shadows. Like you say that you're trying to keep a thermocol sheet or a reflector from down, and try to reflect the light from down to upwards. Now here what happens is, this is not the normal way we have shades in this world. As you might have noticed, the light is always coming from the top and the shadow of your nose is going down. But what are you trying to do is you are trying to keep your shadow down, shade, reflected down, and try to project, the light, try to put the light towards upward. So what happens is your nose pattern will go upward. So which is now totally a different kind of shadow that you may create on the face of. So don't do that. Try to use your reflector. Try to use your, any kind of reflector, even if it is a thermocol sheet or a ready-made, reflector. Try to use in the same way where the light is coming at that point of time. Why I'm saying at that point of time is because, if you look at the photograph, you can see the real direction of the light where it comes. That is really one part. It is the beauty of the photograph itself. So whenever you use a diffuser, a reflector, make sure that you are taking the light from up, and then you keep your reflector from up and putting the way the light supposed to hit on the face of that person, and try to eliminate those harsh shadows. So here I would like to recommend that the best way to take photos, best time to take photos, either you are in a shadow place, there is no light directions or harsh shadows, or you take the photos before 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, the best light, best times, like in December, maybe you get a better time. December, January, you can go up to 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, you can get better photos. But in June, July, you will not be getting better photos after 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock here in Oman. So keep this in my mind when you take a photograph. You place your subject in such a way that the subject should get enough ambient light, and that should reflect back to your camera to get a clear and clean picture. What happens is if you have a lot of shadows under your eyelids, eyelids or eyebrows, then it creates, or it thickens. That's basically the thing is happening. What is your normal eyebrow or normal eyelids, or it thickens and it creates a double-edged shadow. So it creates a third image than what you have at the moment. So try to avoid these things when you try to shoot your portraiture, and try to have an idea what kind of a portraiture and what kind of a background you want and how much of the background you want. You want a little bit of background, or you want to see. Suppose sometime if you're standing, in a place in Oman, maybe you are standing in Georgia on a vacation. So you want to show the people that you are shooting this particular picture in Georgia, and to show you people that you are in Georgia. So in that kind of a situation, you try to collect, something which is very clear, that it can show that you are standing in a particular, place. And then you shoot the picture, then you select such kind of a background, then your picture will be more appealing, and the people who are looking at your picture will be enjoying it much more, and they will have a very clear idea of where you are standing. Okay. And at the same time, if you are in a busy place, you have to stand yourself out. You try to use your aperture controls and try to use your distance between the object and you, and try to blur out your background, and try to get more colors, try to get more clarity to your pictures. So that's what for today. And I also want to add some portrait composition, but unfortunately I couldn't complete that presentation, so I'm stopping it for the time being. And if you have any questions about this, you may please ask.
So thank you, Abdul Azeez, for your session. Wonderful. And any more questions? We will close in another 5 minutes. Okay. Meantime, I would like to remind again, use the correct name when you join. I can see some names which I think kids are using for school. I see some 2C, Narun, and I saw someone else. These are not familiar to me.
So there is some chat is coming, and yeah.
Yeah. Sushant, it's okay. So we already. Okay. Once again, thanks for who joined from the SPC, Salala Photography Group, and our group.
Thank you very much, Abdul Azeez. Whatever you said was crystal clear. There was no confusion. Very clear. Whatever you said. Thank you very much.
Thank you everyone for joining me, and it was a pleasure meeting all of you, and making my boring evening a very happy one. Thank you, and looking forward to see you guys again.
Okay. Before you leave, Abdul Azeez, can you stop your screen share? And those who has, can you switch on your video? I will take a group shot. This is the
group photo. That is living always.
Yeah, I'm very particular on the group photos.
Paresh, you're joining us from Oman?
Oh, from Mumbai.
No,
Paresh is from Mumbai now.
India, Mumbai.
Okay.
Okay, good. So I think I still need some more. My first window is not fully occupied.
How is my background?
Yeah, so very good.
How did you make that?
My son
Being
has
at
done.
the beach and enjoying the drinks,
Yeah.
Abdul Azeez,
Yes,
in
sir.
the photography, you are teaching Zumba dance also?
What is that?
Zumba dance also you are teaching?
Zumba dance.
Zumba.
Zumba dance.
Baiju, switch on your video. I need a few more. Sunil, the mini change on the
No, video.
Okay, so say hi. I'm just going to take the screenshot. Just say hi. 1 second. Ready? Okay. Thank you. And anyone else? So, yeah. Thank you.
You have two screens here. You have two screens.
Yeah. I have a kind of. I mean, the official one. I have the biggest screen, so you can see my direction of looking. Right? That's okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Any further questions? Oh, I can see someone is joining now. Chandrakant. 1 second. We are about to leave. Thank you, everyone. And we have 5 more minutes. Just.
Let me see all my friends.
Yeah. It's at least we can use this one to see everyone's face and where is KK? KK left? Prakash is here. Yeah, good.
Prakashi.
Oh, Sheikh, new COVID lockdown. You shave the head, huh? Okay. Chandrayanji, you just joined? We cannot hear you. I think it's your
His mic is mute.
Everybody is.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Nice presentation. Congrats. Thank you.
Okay.
Actually, I was.
Chandra.
I was not able to log in.
Oh, really?
It was not. It was giving trouble. Yeah.
Okay.
Chandraganji, you started your own head clean kiya apne apna. It looks nice. Sannyasi ji, you look like a Swami now.
Swami who?
Nice.
Not Nityananda, no.
I think your T-shirt color it's matching.
This,
Don't blame Nityananda. He is the most smartest, one of the best, smartest than all of us, and he's enjoying his life better than anyone else.
true.
We are all basically nothing in front of him. He has created his own kingdom. So what to?
He's
What
made
else?
his own money and he's got his own
Yeah.
island and whatnot.
Everything. His own passport. We don't have to renew
Yeah,
any passport or something.
Devin, you can give just a reminder like for tomorrow's next session.
So tomorrow's session,
Reshji,
we
namaskar.
have Sumesh, I think, left. I'm just afraid that Sumesh bandwidth will have same issue, or he left before. Okay, anyways, tomorrow 10 o'clock. So see you again for
Tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock.
tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock. Yeah. So good night. I hope no other questions.
Good night.
So your last chance to ask something.
Guys, take care. Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Abdul Azeez, once again.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Abdul Bhai.
Thank you.